The New Jersey Devils' trip to Florida has concluded, and they picked up 4 out of 6 potential points. Andrei Vasilevskiy was recently celebrating career win number 300, and after this game, he now sits at 301 career wins, and he got it with a shutout. There's a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils, and I have a lot of sound bites to share. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils Rider Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. Once again, coming to you live from Amalie Arena, this time in the press box, where the New Jersey Devils got shut out by the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-0. This is the third time this season that the Devils have been shut out. But I don't want to be too negative because, like I said in a recent episode, if the Devils came out of Florida with 4 out of 6 potential points, I still believe that's a good day at the office. In fact, that's a good few days at the office because the Devils already had a couple of statement wins against the Panthers, and I guess they used all their energy in both those games against the reigning Stanley Cup champions. But in this game against the Lightning, I was waiting for them to capture some sort of momentum, and it didn't come. And as soon as the third period began and the Devils let up 2 goals, I was just like, yep, it's over. They're not going to win this game, but don't want to focus too much on the negatives. In the first segment, I will share some of the observations I made in the press box. Then in the second segment, I will play some sound bites from head coach Sheldon Keefe, Jesper Bratt, and Jacob Markstrom. And then I will share some of my main takeaways moving forward, because I think the Devils, what's best for them, they need to put this game behind them, get some rest, get more practice time, because they do not play again until Thursday. Then in the third and final segment, like I do with every post-game recap, I will compare the stats and give the Devils a letter grade. All right. First, some housekeeping. Andrei Vasilevskiy was honored before the game for reaching 300 career wins. In fact, he is the fastest goaltender in NHL history to reach the 300 win marker. And there were a lot of video tributes. People were paying their respects, including legendary Devils goalie Martin Brodeur. Now, here's the thing. Vasilevskiy, hell of a career, Vezina Trophy winner, multi-time Stanley Cup champion. He ain't no Martin Brodeur, but I'm glad that I saw Brodeur basically sending his well wishes to Vasilevskiy, former friends, former teammates. It was actually a really cool event, and you knew that the Lightning were going to ride on that energy. And not only that, they beat the Winnipeg Jets recently, who at this point have only lost 3 games in regulation, and they're on pace to be this year's President Trophy winners. Still very early in the season. A lot can happen. But the point I'm just trying to make is that the Lightning had a lot going their way. And I was a little concerned for the Lightning entering this matchup because they elected to go with an 11-7 lineup due to Braden Point being sidelined because of a lower body injury, and Cam Atkinson is scratched for whatever reason. I tried asking a few people, why is that the case? And apparently he was scratched in the previous Lightning matchup. That's all I really got. But anyway, Lightning are going with an 11-7 lineup. And here's a not so fun fact for you. The Lightning had 2 players in their starting lineup who have now appeared in 16 games, but they still have not registered a point. The first being Luke Glendening. I believe he had a good outing against the Devils last season. And Zemgus Girgensons. Both those players have not registered a point, but here we are. The first period, for the most part, was very uneventful. For the first time in a while, Devils didn't have much offensive firepower, and I was just basically hoping that it was a similar circumstance that they had against the Panthers, where they get off to somewhat of a slow start, but they start to find their footing, they regain their speed, they regain their momentum. Within the final 5 minutes, the Devils gave up too many scoring chances and played very sloppy. Markstrom had some big saves, but New Jersey didn't do a good job of protecting their goalie. And at one point, he got screened, and Nick Paul scored the opening goal. 1-0 Lightning. Breakout passes weren't great either, and the Devils couldn't handle Tampa's forechecks. For whatever reason, the Panthers, one of the more aggressive teams in the NHL, the Devils were able to match their forechecks as the game progressed and be somewhat unbothered by it. But the same cannot be said in this matchup. It's worth mentioning that the power play for the Lightning wasn't really the best, just way too much passing. And in fact, 5-on-5, just too much passing in general for the Lightning. There were a few opportunities where the Lightning could have had a good look on Markstrom, but they make the extra pass and it just gets negated. At the conclusion of the first period, 7-5 in the shots on goal category in favor of Tampa. Second period rolls around. Devils, once again, relying way too much on Markstrom to bail them out. They were given their first power play opportunity, and instead of the Devils cooking on the power play like they usually do, they got cooked. They didn't surrender a shorthanded goal, but they were far from the dominant power play team that I've been seeing the last few games. Markstrom did redeem himself on Nick Paul. He had a great post-to-post save, and I actually asked him about it post-game. I'll play that in the second segment, but Markstrom has another candidate for save of the year. Devils get another power play later in the period, and their only real good chance was Mercer following up on a broken play, but he could not find the back of the net on Vasilevskiy. No energy, no urgency, but they played better compared to the first, but it really didn't take that much. Third period rolls around, and like I said at the beginning of this episode, this is when I knew that the Devils were pretty much done. First 30 seconds in, Darren Radish snapped one to make it 2-0, and I'm just like, yep, that's not really going to go the way of New Jersey. And remember when I said that the Lightning's power play wasn't really all that good? Well, they redeemed themselves a few minutes later. There was a questionable call on Curtis McDermott for tripping, but that's my personal opinion. And captain, the successor of Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, netted himself a power play goal. Absolute laser. The Devils lost this game 4-0. And to add insult to injury, they gave up the empty netter to Anthony Cirelli, and the Devils lose 4-0. They could not sustain offensive pressure for an extended period of time, and they constantly got stopped at the blue line. We were talking about this in the Pucks and Pitchforks group chat. Only 1.26 expected goals the whole game, and 0.5 of them came from Jack Hughes, which was the chance in the first. Almost nothing in the third period because, like I said, you just knew that the Devils weren't going to win this game. I know I seem somewhat negative, but I'm just telling you what I saw from the press box. But there's a silver lining to it, and it comes with more practice and more rest. I'm going to talk about that momentarily. I will also play some sound bites. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about Prize Picks. I've actually used Prize Picks frequently, especially during the basketball season. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get in on the sports action in over 30 states, including Florida, California, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Okay, let's play some sound bites that I obtained in the locker room. Let's play the first sound bite from Jacob Markstrom. Let me just say right off the bat, this loss is not on Markstrom. He did all he could do to keep the game close. Here's what he had to tell the media post-game, including a question that I asked him about his save on Paul in the second period. I believe that could be a candidate for save of the year. Check it out.
Tampa Bay brought against your team tonight.
I think they played a solid game defensively, and like ourselves too. I think it was a really tight game. It was it's obviously nice to get one or two more saves here and make it a tighter game coming into the end of the third.
I know you've had many great saves, but can you talk about that save you had on Paul in the second period in which you went post to post?
I don't know. It's one of those times, just desperation, and fortunate enough, and obviously wish I could have done that on him in the first instead, and we went in.
What were you seeing on their power play that was making it challenging for your group to stop them?
I don't know. I thought we did a really good job, to be honest. And it's a shot from the point with no tip, and obviously I got to work a little harder to get a read on it and get my eyes on it. So that's on me. And other than that, I thought our penalty kill did a great job, like it's been doing for a long time.
You guys have played a lot of games up to this point. How crucial are these next few days to get some rest and basically get replenished?
A long break is obviously good to recover and all that stuff, but it's also, teams are coming points-wise, and, we want to keep as many teams possible behind us. So, as long as we play and win hockey games and collect points, it's, you're keeping the other teams behind you. So, we got to, get back here on the win column next game.
Devils were shut out, but we still wanted to speak to a skater. Here's what Jesper Bratt had to say about the offense getting shut down and not really being there for Markstrom.
A lot of possession time as well. What was missing from being able to capitalize on any of those chances that you all did have?
I think it's a fairly good game for both teams. I think both teams kind of limit each other's chances. I think we both play good defensively, and I think those small details where they found a way to score. They funneled pucks, they got in front of Marky's eyes, and that's basically how they scored their goals, and that's how we didn't score our goals. So I think those details with creating traffic in front and funnel more pucks, and I think that's kind of was the game changer to the whole game. I mean, they capitalized on their power play, and we didn't.
What difficulties did Vasilevskiy present tonight for you?
I think obviously he's a good goalie, but I think we made it easy for him too. I think we didn't get in front of his eyes, and when you play against a good goalie, you got to make it hard on him by making sure he doesn't see the puck when there's shots and getting rebounds and second, third opportunities. And I think that's kind of where we struggle as a team, and I think we made it a fairly easy night for him.
You guys at the top lines have had a lot more shifts over the course of the past couple weeks just because of some injuries in the forward line. How have you guys adapted and managed those higher workloads?
Yeah, I mean, we want to play. That's what we train for in the summer, and that's what we train for during the season, to manage to play a lot of minutes. So we enjoyed that, obviously.
What can you say about the effort from Jacob Markstrom? Seems like he was doing whatever it took to keep the game close.
No, he was definitely having a good game, and I think that's what I said with Vasi. When you're playing a good goal, you got to get in front of his eyes, and I think Marky did everything he possibly could. He came out with some incredible saves and saves at the right time, and we just got to be better in front of him and making sure that we put some pucks in the net on the other side as well.
You guys have played a lot of games up to this point. How crucial are these next few days to basically refuel to come out against the Hurricanes?
Yeah, obviously it's good for us. So, I mean, we get 2 days of a break and then 2 days of good practices for us to kind of recharge a little bit. We're playing a lot of games and then some really good teams coming up here. So it's going to be a crucial time for us to recover and recharge, come back with some new, really fresh energy with 2 days of great practice before we get tested right away.
I believe the most important soundbite to come from all of this is head coach Sheldon Keefe, because he enlightened the media with some interesting facts involving the current situation of the Devils. Take a listen.
How important are these next few days to replenish and get ready for the Hurricanes game?
Why they're really important. I mean, not just for the next game, but just in general. I mean, it's been a tough road here for our guys. So we've got the luxury of a little bit of time to both get some rest and practice. And a lot of what we've been through at this point in the season, it's been kind of choosing one or the other. And we have a little opportunity for both. So this is an important period of time for us to sort of, get ready for the next push, really all the way right through to Christmas.
What have you thought of your fourth line? I know you're dealing with injuries, but just that group as a whole in the past couple weeks.
I think those guys have done a good job for us.
You said you wanted to see a lot of consistency built on this road trip. What would you assess was the most consistent part of the Devils games, especially with hard work?
I just think we played intelligently, in all three games. Again here tonight, I mean, that's a really dynamic offensive team. I know points out tonight, but Kucherov is as creative and dynamic a player as there is in the league. I thought did a pretty good job of not allowing him to get really to his game. And we didn't spend much time in our end in any of the three games, and we're playing against two of the teams that are as good as anybody at wearing you down in the offensive zone. So there's a lot of little positives things there for us. And even tonight, I like those areas of our game. As I said, there's just we need to do a little bit more on offense to get to the inside, and a little bit better defending at times, just to give Markey a better chance to make the saves.
All right, here are some of my main takeaways from this game. The first being is that, for the most part, the Devils did their job when they came down to Florida. They had a couple of statement victories against the reigning Stanley Cup champion Panthers, and those wins were well-deserved. Let's get that out the way. They racked up 4 out of 6 potential points here in the Sunshine State. They have played the most games in the NHL up to this point. They do not play again until Thursday. I asked Markstrom, Bratt, and Keefe how important these next few days are to get replenished, refueled, especially since they're probably going to have a tough matchup against the Hurricanes. The past few years of me covering the Devils, one of their biggest challenges always seems to be the Hurricanes to some sort of extent. They already dropped their first meeting against Carolina, and you know that some of the former Hurricanes on the Devils roster want to make a statement, including Eric Haula, Dougie Hamilton, Brett Pesce, Stefan Nason. I'm probably forgetting someone else because the Devils have a lot of former Hurricanes players on their roster, but you get the point. It's not going to be easy to go up against the Hurricanes, and similar to what Sheldon Keefe said, the Devils can have 2 days of rest, 2 days of practice, and I think that could be very vital to them. But here's something that I also want to highlight, courtesy of Alex Chavancy. He put this out on X. He said, the Devils were shut out 4 times in 82 games last season. They've already been shut out 3 times in 21 games this season. Definitely need to find some scoring through the trade market at some point. Now, I talked about this in a recent episode when it was revealed that Curtis Lazar and Nathan Bastian were set to miss a decent amount of time. I believe Bastian will come back at some point next month, but for Curtis Lazar, we're a little unsure because he did have to get a procedure on his knee, and that can take some time. But when we look at the fourth line for the Devils, it's Curtis McDermott, Justin Dowling, and Tomas Tatar. I've said it before. I respect Curtis McDermott, what he brings from a physical standpoint. And yes, the Devils do have a winning record when he's on the rink. But let's be honest with ourselves. He's not the most efficient player, but he definitely plays an intimidation factor, and his teammates will vouch for him in that case. Curtis McDermott can't be an everyday player. He could be a player that you play against the Panthers because you know that's going to be a physical battle. In fact, he got into a fight with Jonah Gadjevich, And as a result, I think Gadjevich had to leave the game due to head troubles. But the point is that McDermott can't play in every single game. He can play in a few games here or there, but he's not an everyday player. That's how his career has gone up to this point. Justin Dowling, he can't play in all the games either. And Tomas Tatar, this pains me so much. 20 game appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists for a grand total of 5 points. I honestly thought that Tatar would be a little bit better, if I'm being completely honest, because I remember what he did on this team a couple seasons ago when he was paired alongside Nico Hischier and Dawson Mercer. I'm not really seeing that this time around. Keep in mind, it's a different coach, different system, different Devils roster. But I still want to see just a little bit more from Tatar. I get that he's not the same player that he was a couple years ago, and Father Time is undefeated for a reason, but I want to see Tatar really elevate his game. I thought he could be a scoring option and replace the goal production from Alexander Holtz, but I'm not really seeing that for the time being. And similar to what Alex Chavancy said, similar to what James Nichols has also been saying on social media, the Devils need to look at the trade market to replace some more depth options, especially since Curtis Lazar is going to miss significant time. And Nathan Bastion, we don't know when he's returning. I think that's another big takeaway. And Gabriel Trevino of NJ.com did ask Sheldon Keefe about it. And I want people to take this into consideration. Rest is essential. This is the Lightning's second game in 9 days, I believe. The Devils have played like 6 games in a 10-day span, and a lot of it has been on the road. In fact, I know for a fact that 3 of them have come on the road because they have played 3 straight games in Florida. It's one of their busiest parts of the schedule. So I think the Devils are going to be fine, and these next few days can be good for them to get replenished, refueled. So while this game was tough to watch, let's be completely honest, I'm not going to overreact to it, but yes, the fact that the Devils have been shut out 3 times in 21 games this year, I know they're first in the Metro, but that needs to be discussed. Just my 2-cent opinion. All right, I'm going to compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade momentarily, but before we continue, let me tell you guys about Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, messaging, so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree. Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. I've actually used Indeed before to book myself some play-by-play gigs. I use it to this very day. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support my show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right, let's compare the stats, give the Devils a letter grade, and check out of Tampa Bay, Florida. I think the main goal for the Devils was to make sure that Andrei Vasilevskiy didn't get career win number 301, but job was not successful. Shots on goal differential, 29-26 in favor of the Devils. That first period, they couldn't generate anything. Power plays, Devils were 0 for 4. Not the same power play team that I saw in Sunrise, but that's bound to happen. They're going to have stinkers like this. Lightning were 1 for 3 thanks to their captain, Victor Hedman. Man, that feels so weird to say. Captain Victor Hedman, not Captain Steven Stamkos. Anyway, hits 23-15 in favor of the Devils. Giveaways 15-12 in favor of the Lightning. Takeaways 8-4 in favor of the Lightning. Blocked shots 19-11 in favor of Tampa Bay. I don't know about you guys, but it seemed like the Devils were getting their shots blocked left and right. I'm surprised the Lightning didn't have more blocked shots. Time spent in the penalty box, 8-6 in favor of the Lightning. All right. If I had to give the Devils a letter grade, I'll go easy on them because for the most part, they did what they had to do in Florida. I will give them a C-. Normally for this type of game, I would give them a D, but like I said, I will go easy on them just because they came away with a couple statement wins against the Panthers. They got 4 out of 6 points, and they're probably a little gassed. And these next couple of days to get some practice, get some rest, I think it's going to be crucial for them in their next game against the Hurricanes. But let me know what you guys thought of this matchup. Do you think the Devils need to add more depth to their bottom 6? Are you a little concerned that they've been shut out 3 times already this season? And collectively, what did you think of their past 3 games played here in Florida? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's what I'm going to have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening once again.